Good evening. Welcome to the February 6th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Join me in prayer. Dear wise and loving Father, let me say thank you on behalf of all those who are gathered here today. Thank you for the many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for our measure of health, which we need to fulfill our calling, for friendship, and for sustenance. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. And thank you for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. And thank you for loving us even so. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Pitlevani.
Here.
Let the record show Councilman Aragosa is absent. Councilman Godlewski.
Here.
Councilwoman Brzezowski. Here. Supervisor Ketzley.
Here, we do have agendas up front. There are just two little slight changes to the agenda. Number 12, the resolution declaring certain equipment as surplus is being removed from the agenda. We do not have that list with us tonight, so we're removing that. And we're adding, which is not on the agenda, which we'll place under number 15 and before 16 on the agenda, a resolution regarding a certain water and sewer bill related to a certain property within the town, which we can get into when we call that resolution up. So that'll be after 15 and before 16. So with that, we'll start with town council reports, and I'll start on my left with Councilman Godlewski.
Just one thing to report, Mr. Supervisor, the zoning revision committee met last night. We went through some of the specific language tied more specifically to the proposed or what will be the proposed Freeman's Bridge corridor zoning district. We also kind of finalized what will be encompassed in that zoning district. I know at I believe the last meeting I reported that that was still with our consultant being reviewed. I think the plan is to kind of pass stuff along to the town board as we go, and I think as far as ultimately looking at a bigger package of what we're voting on for changes. But we are making good progress, and literally we're going line by line through the code last night and making some modifications. And that's all I have.
And apparently not very open to chickens.
And we're going to keep let the chicken law stay as it remains.
Thank you. Councilwoman Brzezowski.
Yes, I would just like to give an update to the board on my activities in regards to the community garden. I was able to be introduced to a woman named Hannah Passano, who is on the board of Capital Roots, who assists local communities with the creation of community gardens. And I reached out to her, and they were having a board meeting today, so I'm hopeful that they will express interest in taking up this project and working with us going forward.
Thank you. Councilman Pitlevani.
I have nothing this evening.
Excellent. We move now to number 5, which is privilege of the floor. I'll open privilege of the floor. We'll ask anyone who's interested in speaking at privilege of the floor, just raise your hand. We'll invite you to the podium, and you can address the board. Anyone interested in privilege of the floor? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Move on to item number 6, which is supervisor's comments to the board. I just have a few updates. Councilman Godlewski mentioned the Freeman's Bridge Road redevelopment. Kevin and I, our town planner, had an opportunity to meet with DOT. DOT will be starting a bridge resurfacing project on Freeman's Bridge Road probably in 2020. We took that opportunity working very closely with the county, Steve Feeney at the county and Ray's office. And we went to DOT and asked them to consider adding the pedestrian trail over that bridge to connect the piece on the Schenectady side with the piece on the Glenville side. and they were very receptive to that. So we're working on a design that would include a pedestrian trail over that bridge and connect those two. I think that's an important piece then to continue to try to redevelop that Glenville, Scotia side along the river, because it'll be connected, physically connected to, I think they call it the Empire Trail, the State Trail on the other side. So we're very excited about that. I also took the opportunity to just remind DOT not to do what they did with the bridge over in Scotia and put up concrete barriers that block the view to the river, and they said they learned their lesson on that one, and they will make sure that that's not the case. And I took the opportunity to, as you know me, I'm going to continue to ask for things until they kick me out of the room, lighting on the bridge, over Freeman's Bridge. They were less enthusiastic about that. But my argument was, if you're going to put a pedestrian trail, then you ought to make it safe and make sure there's lighting on the bridge for the pedestrian trail. So all we can do is ask, and they're going to go back to CDTC and try to get more funding for the project to meet those things. Speaking of sidewalks, I'm very hopeful that we will have a resolution at the next meeting to call for bids on the Glen Ridge Road project. It's never too early to get bids out on that. I know snow is still out there, but spring is around the corner as far as municipal work is concerned, because by the time the bids get out and come back and awarded, I really want to see that start as soon as the weather breaks. So hopefully those bids will be ready to go, or the bid will be ready to go at the next board meeting. Staying on the theme of sidewalks, I have a meeting with Metroplex and Scotia Glenville School District to discuss the important project over where the middle school and the high school meet, and we're working on a walking trail for those students finally. Metroplex finally was able to secure, so if you all remember the issue, we own the road, but we don't own any of the siding of the road that belongs to the private companies. As I understand it, Metroplex was able to buy that piece. So we're going to talk about now putting a trail there for the students between the school districts. It's going to require fencing and some other things, but we're making progress on that. Speaking of the Business Technology Park, we had a good meeting with Belgioso Cheese. Their site plan, they're on for preliminary site plan approval on February 11th. That's a large project here in the town. You know, $30 million investment, 50 new jobs coming in, and a whole lot of cheese being made down there now. We're working through the water, sewer, infrastructure issues and some other things, but they are on for preliminary approval on February 11th. Five Guys is on for final approval on February 11th, and Pizza Works expansion, which I think you're familiar with that project, is on for preliminary, I think on the 11th, or final.
I think they're
Final as well. So we are moving, we're all about eating cheese, pizza, and burgers. So, it's gonna be good. That's right. I had an opportunity to attend the Oak Wilt along with Vicki Ellis Oak Wilt meeting last week, was it? In this room. I think you all know we have another case of Oak Wilt on Birch Lane between Pashley and an individual resident. Unfortunately, I think the cure for the patient is going to be taking 13 trees out of that area, which is sad because it's a nicely treated area, but it's really necessary to try to prevent it. But I think Vicki and I are talking with DEC on how we can educate or re-educate or continue to talk about to our residents. This is the third or fourth case of Oak Wilt in the town. Fourth. And we have to make sure we're doing more, I think, to stop the spread of this, because they talked about how it decimated oak trees in Midwest. That could happen here. It's odd when you look at the map, as I've told you this before, it kind of goes from Pennsylvania to Glenville. There's nothing, well, now there is something down in the southern tier, but before, and so what that would indicate is people moving firewood, people moving wood that they shouldn't be moving, transporting wood. So it's very important when DEC says don't take firewood into an area, there's a reason for that. It's because you're carrying disease from certain areas and other areas. Trimming oak trees is very important. When you trim the oak tree, and we can maybe have a work session or maybe an informational session, but What happens is when you trim that tree, it releases a very sweet scent to the beetles that are carrying the spores. So the beetles go to that wound, and they burrow into the tree, and they drop the spores into the tree at that point, and then it becomes infected. So they want people to, used to be, DEC always said, don't paint your wounds. Now they want those painted immediately to stop the spread of that. Once it gets into the tree, it spreads to the root system. So oaks are one of the few trees that actually will intertwine their roots, and that's why they have to take out the radius of trees around it to get all the roots out, because not virus, what is it? It's not a virus. Fungus. The fungus will travel through the root system and kill all the other trees around it. And they showed us pictures of places that were infected, and it was just like tons of trees just dying. So it's sad, but we really have to be diligent in Glenville. We're really a hot spot for New York State right now. So we have to make sure we're doing everything we can not to spread the disease and continue to spread that message out there. We were all, I think, most of us were at the Pizza and Wing event last week, very successful. We welcomed over 120 people to the event, raised $2,500 roughly for Gates Mansion. It was a great event. A lot of people had fun. Benevento won the second year in a row for Best Pizza. And a new entry, Mohawk Tap Room, won Best Wings in that category. So
They're pretty good.
they were very good. They were very good.
Conglomerate.
And it was a great event, so we're looking forward to that again next year. I had a meeting with the designers of the corner here on Glen Ridge as these poles come down after the weather breaks. We're looking at a redesign for that corner, working with First National Bank because most of it will be on their property, and working with Glenville Rotary because we're talking about upgrading the sign on that corner. But there's some really nice ideas to incorporate the clock and a Christmas tree that is actually large enough for people.
My wife will be happy.
Yes, one of the criticisms we received a lot.
Well, it's the first couple of years.
That's
We're trying
right.
to figure it out.
This one will grow, but they're putting together some designs, so that's good. That's moving forward. One of the things I think Vicky's been working on is on February 16th, right, is the walk around the park, or walk in the park. It's a walk in the park. So regardless of the weather, no, with the Y, yes, the Y is working with the town on it, and there'll be, either you could ski it, snowshoe it, or walk it, but it's going to be about a 4-mile loop, all-inclusive from Indian Meadows to Anderson and back again. And so we'll be meeting by the pavilion in Indian Meadows. There'll be a fire. There will not be s'mores, as much as I thought there was going to be s'mores. Apparently it's hot cocoa. Close enough, bring your own graham crackers, I guess. But it's going to be, I think, a good event. And so if you can make it on February 16th, or anybody, that would be a fun event for get out and do something active in the winter. I'll be meeting with our consultant, CS Arch, on their programming for a potential either new town hall or redeveloped space or whatever, but they're going to be coming back with their recommendations on the programming needs after meeting with staff. So we'll have more information. Maybe we might be ready for a work session, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll be meeting at the end of the week. And then lastly, just an update, because I know that I've gotten a lot of calls on it. There's been a lot of activity on social media on it. And I think Deputy Supervisor Brzezowski asked last time, the AIM money that the governor is trying to take away, what does that mean for a town? And it is unrestricted funds. It goes right to the operations of the town. But I got to thinking the question was relevant in the way that people want to know, well, what does that really mean? So we would be losing a little bit more than $176,000. And when the governor says, well, you replace that with your sales tax growth, our sales tax growth last year was $1,500. So you take $176,000 and you replace it with $1,500. That math doesn't work. That math gets you into a $2.5 billion deficit at the state level. So what does that mean then? It's not replaceable with sales tax growth. That means that $176,000 is a 2% tax increase, immediate 2% tax increase, just to cover the loss of revenue. If you don't want to try to replace the revenue, then that cut happens to be the 2 new police officers we just hired. That's $176,000. That's 2 new officers. That's 3 new highway laborers. We have one with us tonight. That's 3 new highway laborers. That's park improvements that we could be doing in the parks that we won't be able to do. That's paving 2.5 miles of road in our town. This is what that reduction, not just reduction, the elimination of paving, does to our town budget. It's not our town budget. Rotterdam and Niskayuna and Scotia, they're all in the same boat. But this is an important issue. So I think as we go forward, we have to start telling people what this means. If the government is actually successful to take this away, it means a 2% or it means a reduction of staff or reduction of services. There's no way around it. Either enhance your revenue through a tax increase or you cut your costs through service reduction. And that's what the governor's doing to upstate communities. That's all I have. Thank you. So back to the agenda. We'll go on to item number 7, which is a resolution to schedule a public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that.
I have a second.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I'm introducing a local law to amend Chapter 255 of the Vehicle and Traffic Code of the Town of Glenville. A duly scheduled public hearing must be held in order to amend the existing code by local law. The town board of the Town of Glenville will meet at the Glenville Municipal Center here at 18 Glenridge Road on Wednesday, February 20th at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter as possible, at which time you will hear all persons interested in the proposed local law to amend Chapter 255 of the Vehicle and Traffic chapter of the Code of the Town of Glenville. The town clerk, V&C, is hereby authorized and directed to prepare the proper public notice of said hearing in accordance with the law as follows. Section 255-2, stop intersections. It is to add the following intersections as hereby designated as stop intersections, and stop signs shall be erected on entrances as indicated. On Bigwood Road, stop sign on Rosemary Drive North at the east entrance. On Nicholas Drive, stop sign on Yolinda Drive at the east entrance. And then to amend Chapter 255-4, yield intersections, add the following intersections as hereby designated as yield intersections, and yield signs shall be erected on entrances thereto as indicated, and that would be on Nicholas Drive, a yield sign on Valina Drive at the east entrance. Residents had brought these intersections to our attention. The town traffic engineer, along with the traffic safety committee, had reviewed all of these intersections and have made these recommendations to the town board.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Calling for the public hearing. Please call the roll.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Gollowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Worzbowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 8, authorizing the purchase of 3 police vehicles. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
I
that.
have a second.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. In order to maintain a safe and efficient fleet of vehicles to meet the public safety needs of the town of Glenville, the police chief recommends the purchase of 2 marked police vehicles and 1 unmarked sedan to replace 2 2014 Chevrolet Caprice vehicles and 1 2011 Ford Crown Victoria, all of which are nearing the end of their useful lives for police functions. The town of Glenville Chief of Police has determined that the Glenville Police Department would be best served by purchasing 2 2019 Dodge Chargers and 1 2019 Dodge Durango Pursuit all-wheel drive SUV utilizing the New York State Office of General Service bid process. The Chief of Police and the Town Controller recommend that the vehicles be purchased from the lowest bidders at a price of $49,638.10 for 2 Dodge Chargers and $32,000 $583.28 for one Dodge Durango. The purchase of said vehicles are provided for within the 2019 budget, and that the Chief of Police is hereby authorized to purchase two 2019 Dodge Chargers, one marked and one unmarked, from Maine Motor Company, 224 West Main Street in Johnstown, at a total price not to exceed $49,368.10, and one 2019 Dodge Durango marked from John Vance Motors, 5322 South Division, Guthrie, Oklahoma, at a total price not to exceed $32,583.28, with the expense for said vehicles charged to account number BB 000-120-2000 as indicated in the 2019 adopted budget.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pipelani.
Yes.
Councilman Gollosky.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Capsley.
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 9, authorizing the purchase of a street sweeper. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is in connection with the Highway Department's need to purchase a street sweeper for the Highway Department. The Highway Superintendent does recommend purchase of a 2019 Timco Model 600 regenerative air sweeper mounted on the International Cabin chassis to best meet the needs of the town. Said vehicle is available under New York State contract pricing. This resolution, should it pass, will authorize the Highway Superintendent to purchase one 2019 Timco Model 600 BAH regenerative air sweeper mounted on an International Cabin chassis with additional options as included in the quote provided by the Highway Superintendent at the New York State contract pricing from J&J Equipment LLC, Brew, New York, and a sum not to exceed $275,000. This resolution would also deem the existing sweeper, a 2005 Sterling Elegant Eagle, as would deem it surplus property and eligible for disposal. And additionally, this resolution would authorize payment for said equipment shall be made through the sale issuance of a bond anticipation note in the amount of $245,000, with the balance to be paid through the sale proceeds of the 2005 Sterling Elegant Eagle sweeper. It should be noted that this resolution does not authorize the ban at this time. It just sets up that we will be paying for that piece of equipment in part with a ban.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pipelani.
Yes.
Councilman Gollosky.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Capsley.
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 10, authorizing the purchase of a roadside mower. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
For a second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is in connection with the Highway Department's need to purchase a roadside mower for the department's use. The Highway Superintendent does recommend the purchase of a John Deere 6105E tractor with a Bengal 18-inch tractor boom, a 50-inch rotary head, and a 96-inch hydraulic slide shifting rear flare. I gotta see this thing starting to answer because this sounds really like impressive. Anyway, Suffolk County has awarded a contract for the purchase of various groundskeeping equipment. In order to achieve cost savings, the Highway Superintendent recommends utilizing the pricing available to the town under the Suffolk County purchase contract in accordance with authorization set forth in the General Municipal Law. This purchase is not subject to bidding requirements, as the purchase represents a piggybacking of methods employed by Suffolk County. This resolution, should it pass, would authorize the Highway Superintendent to purchase one new John Deere 6105E tractor with all the stuff that I listed before. New York State contract pricing from Trius Inc. In Port Edward, New York, with a sum not to exceed $130,000. The payment for said equipment, should this resolution pass, would be through the issuance of a bond anticipation note in the amount of $130,000. Again, this does not authorize the issuance of any bond anticipation note through this resolution. It just states that's how we intend to pay for it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pipelani.
Yes.
Councilman Gollosky.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
Yes.
Supervisor Capsley.
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 11, appointing Robert Dalton to the position of laborer in the Highway Department. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is in connection with a vacant laborer position that exists within the Glenville Highway Department. The Highway Superintendent has conducted interviews and does recommend that Robert Dalton be appointed to the position. The town board, should this resolution pass, would provisionally appoint Robert Dalton at 147 Sacandaga Road in Glenville, New York, to the position of laborer effective February 11, 2019, at a starting rate for such title of $15.40 per hour, and benefits as determined by the agreement between the town and CSEA Highway Employees Unit. And I do believe Mr. Dalton is here. Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I just want to say, as a way of welcoming you, don't think that tonight my comments indicated that we're cutting 3 laborers.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's part of the job. Not at all the case. I'm just making the just to equate what that adds up to.
Just putting it in perspective.
Yes, yes. I'm sure he's sitting there saying, "Oh my goodness, I just gave me my position."
The low guy with the total.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next resolution, 12 is poll 13, designating Christopher A. Ketzley as a voting delegate at the Association of Towns Annual Business Meeting. Do I have a motion?
So,
Have a second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Dad, what were you going to say?
We just all kind of just.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, just as a matter of point, this resolution, should it pass, would resolve that you would be appointed and designated our voting delegate for the Association of Towns 2019 Annual Business Meeting, and would authorize and direct our town clerk to complete the certificate of designation and return same to the association no later than February 17th, 2019. I believe that we do this every year.
Yes. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 14, approving the town board minutes for December 19th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, the minutes were distributed to us by email. Ms. Niels and her staff distributed the minutes, and hopefully we've all had a chance to review them. And this would approve them for the December 19, 2018 minutes or meeting.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
I had back surgery in December, so I was not at the December 19th meeting.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 15, approving the town board meetings for January 2nd, 16th, and the special on the 23rd. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Same as the last resolution, Mr. Supervisor. These are the minutes for the 3 meetings, January 2nd, 16th, and the special town board meeting, the 23rd. Again, Ms. Niels and her staff prepares the minutes and distribute them through email, and hopefully we'll have a chance to review it at this point.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution is an add-on, which is resolution add-on 1. This is the one I mentioned earlier regarding a clerical error that was, which occurred at the property of 57 Valleywood Drive. This resolution is a resolution that we resolve to settle a claim against the town for $660.82 in relation to that error. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Just for, again, just to talk a little bit more about it, this gentleman, this property owner, did not have the sum readily available because of an error that has really been carried over from 2006 to 2017. And so the unpaid part of the bill was re-levied. And so therefore there was an additional 10% non-payment penalty onto the 2019 county and town property tax bill. And I think is a agreement for that to be paid in full. This resolution would consider rebating the actual penalty of $660.82 because it is determined that the error is solely the fault of the town. And again, it was a clerical error. It was carried forward for close to 10 years. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Pilatani?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Last item is new business. I'll start on my left with Councilman Daluski.
No new business. I did just want to briefly say that I really enjoyed the pizza at Wayne Bowl, as I enjoyed it last year. It was a great event, and it's only growing and getting better. I stuffed my face and left there happy and full, and ended up ordering wings for Super Bowl from one of the vendors based on the samples that I did. So I was the target audience for the what we were receiving.
Care to share what vendor?
I don't want to, just because the politician within me is.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rosales.
I have none.
Councilman Phillips.
No new business.
No new business either, so with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All right, well, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.